Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Bryant and I'm a speech language pathologist here at Emerge Pediatric Therapy, and I'm here to talk with you today about reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is, simply put, the ability to read a passage or even a sentence and then be able to understand what you have read. Usually this requires you to both be able to look at the words, break them apart, sound them out, put them back together, figure out what they say, do this for an entire sentence to an entire passage, and then have understood what it said. Sometimes with our kids who have difficulty decoding, this also makes reading comprehension even more difficult because having to decode all that and having to figure out what all of it says to begin with, and then to integrate it into our own experiences and what we already know, is just really, really difficult. It's too many different moving components. For other children, it's incredibly difficult to access that skill of integrating. Hey, I have read this. What does this mean as it compares to my own life experience? What can I pull from my own life experience and what I already know about the situation to help figure out what these different figures of speech, idioms, things like that may be trying to communicate. So there are a couple of different skills going on when we are discussing reading comprehension, and especially if your child is being asked to read a passage on their grade level and they're struggling with reading at their grade level and sounding out words. So I want to give you some strategies to help with that, and a lot of that has to do with listening comprehension. Something that you can do to help your child increase their understanding of a passage is to read it aloud. And something that is really encouraged by the University of North Carolina's Center for Literacy and Disability Studies is the anchor, read, apply approach. So first, what you will want to do is tell your child or ask them a question about the subject of the passage. So if it's a passage about a birthday party, tell me, what are some things that you do at a birthday party? And make a list together. So you're helping them and facilitating the start of generating a connection to your child's own background knowledge. Then you want to set a purpose for them. You say, okay, I want you to listen to me, and I want you to learn about or tell me at the end of this passage what the boy does at his birthday party. Or you may want to say, you may want to tell me what the girl doesn't get at her birthday party, or something that will help them say, oh, this is what I need to be listening for, and give them a purpose so that they're not just sitting and hearing a bunch of words coming at them that they don't really know what the purpose of the passage is or what their purpose for listening is. Then you read the passage aloud to them. And then after the conclusion of that passage, you again give them another reminder, reminding them of the purpose. You said, we read that passage to find out what the boy did at his party. Can you tell me some things the boy did at his party? And then go through answering some comprehension questions related to that topic. So that is a strategy that eliminates the difficulty of decoding. It reduces the demand on sounding out words, and it will allow your child to access the reading comprehension task or the listening comprehension task that is most appropriate for their comprehension ability, that is not related to their reading ability. So that really allows you to separate those out, and it also helps your child activate their personal experience, which may be something that is more difficult for them. If it is, this could be a really powerful strategy for your child, and I would really recommend it. Another strategy might be to educate your child about the different parts of a story. We call this story grammar or narrative structure in the world of speech-language pathology. So stories all are structured similarly. They have characters, they have setting, they have a problem, they have steps that the characters take to try to resolve that problem, and then they have a resolution where the story comes to an end, and either the character does resolve the problem or the character has to reckon with the problem going unsolved, or maybe resolving in a way they didn't want it to. So these stories all have these things in common, and by giving a child access to knowing what each of those parts are and an ability to look for them, that is really helping them to understand what is going on, why these random facts are being mentioned. They're not actually random. They're letting us know the different parts of the story. And that way it will give them some kind of structure, such as that we might have from a graphic organizer or a visual or a tactile representation that will make this more accessible. So you might want to include a graphic organizer that has a space where you write the story title, a space where you write the author's name, a space where you write the character's name, the setting, the problem, all of those things, so those things become more tangible to your learner. You may want to check out Story Grammar Marker, which is a program that we use at our clinic that uses a character, Brady, who is a tactile and visual aid, especially useful for those who might have visual deficits. And use that to help remember the different components that might be coming in the story, like the kickoff. That's my favorite word that the Story Grammar Marker uses. The kickoff. What starts this story? What happens that makes this story go? So making all of these parts of a story more accessible to a child is making understanding the entirety of it more accessible down the line. And then also, another method of working on reading comprehension is making sure that your child has access to books that are on their level, not necessarily matching what grade they're in, not necessarily challenging the decoding part of their brain, but allowing them to practice reading and answering questions about a text that is easier for them to read and decode the words, sound out, figure out what all of those mean. It may be something more simple like the Bob books, or it may be more, or the Sam books, something like that, where there are easy to decode words. It's on grade level for them as we think about their decoding ability. And it's not asking them to decode something that's a challenge and then answer questions about it, because that can be incredibly frustrating. To have spent all this mental energy on trying to figure out what something says, and then to try to remember, wait, what did I say that whole page when I was struggling to sound all these words out? I don't remember any of those facts. So if you're finding your child maybe having difficulty with that, just the exertion of reading and then answering questions, that could be a good strategy as well. I would recommend talking to their teacher about what might be a good accessible book for them to read in terms of their reading level, and then working on questions to answer after that. Another way to work on reading comprehension with children who are younger and to really start building those skills is to start reading storybooks using something called dialogic reading or dialogic reading. So that means you have a dialogue with your child as you're reading the book. So instead of just reading what it says on the page, you might start allowing your kid to complete what you say. You might start asking questions such as who, what, when, where, why, how questions about what happened on the page. How did that get there? And see what your child says, or maybe modeling this for them. So that way they are starting to understand the model of questioning and engaging with a storybook. So these are all some strategies that can really help bolster your child's reading comprehension skills. Consulting with a speech language pathologist on how to work on reading comprehension in a way that is effective for your individual child can always be helpful, and we're here to support you in establishing a program at home. Please reach out to me with any questions you might have, and let me know in the comments if you have had any positive experiences using any of these strategies. Thank you so much.